So, you're planning a trip to Bryce Canyon and you're wondering how much time you need. Today, I want to talk you through the best 1 and 2 day itinerary options for beautiful Bryce Canyon National Park. My name is Ash. I'm a former park ranger and the founder of Dirt in My Shoes. I'm also a Utah native, and so you will find me in Bryce Canyon at least once a year, sometimes more than that. I love this park. So I'm excited to answer your questions today about how much time you'll need in Bryce Canyon for your vacation. You'll find a full article about this on my website, dirtinmyshoes.com, and I will link this article below the video so you can read through it if you want additional help. Okay, so the question of the day is, how much time should I spend in Bryce Canyon? Bryce Canyon is a relatively small national park. There is a fair amount of things to do, but it's not something that's going to take you a lot of time. And so if you're visiting Southern Utah, you're probably planning on visiting both Zion National Park and Bryce Canyon on the same trip. They're very close together. And Bryce Canyon just isn't as complex as Zion, so it doesn't need as much time. I would say if you can give it 1.5 to 2 days, then you'll be able to see almost everything in this park. If you don't have that amount of time, if you only have a day to give it, you can still see a lot. So 1 to 2 days is the perfect amount of time, and it will also hopefully leave you some time to see some of the other beautiful national parks in Utah while you're in the area. Let's talk about 1 day in Bryce Canyon National Park. If you only have a day, what do you have time to do? So the main things you'll want to get to during your 1 day in the park are the most popular viewpoints. Those are the ones that surround the Bryce Canyon Amphitheater with all those amazing hoodoos. And so you'll want to focus on the viewpoints like Sunrise Point, Sunset Point, Bryce Point, and Inspiration Point. Those are going to be the ones that are going to provide those really amazing Bryce Canyon hoodoo views. With 1 day in the park, you will have time to hike a shorter trail or two. You probably won't have time to do my favorite hike in the park, but you could do a portion of it. And so I would focus on the Queen's Garden Navajo Loop Trail. If you have time to do that, that would be great. That shows you some of the best hoodoos. It takes you through the canyon, and it's just one of the coolest hikes you can do. So focus in on that one if you only have time for one hike. If you have time to add another, you might want to add something like Mossy Cave or the Bristlecone Loop or something like that. But your main focus should be on seeing those amphitheater views and then getting down into the canyon, either on the Queen's Garden or Navajo Trail. And if you want to loop them together, that's even better. And then if you don't mind a longer day in the park, you could add on at least a portion of the scenic drive. You might not make it all the way to the end, but you could at least drive out as far as Natural Bridge and see the arch. That's really cool. And just enjoy the more peaceful and quiet area of the park, which is along this scenic drive. Now, speaking of hoping to find more peace and solitude in this park, if you're only going to be there for 1 day, it's going to be a lot harder to avoid the crowds. You will be in the thick of it for that day, pretty much. It's just going to be a little bit unavoidable unless you have a really good plan. I mentioned that I've been to Bryce Canyon so many times. I know the park really well. And that's why I've written a Bryce Canyon itinerary that will help you navigate the crowds. It will help you know when to be where to find the most peace and solitude while you're visiting this park. I'll link my Bryce Canyon itinerary below this video, but basically it's an hour-by-hour schedule. I will help you through the park in the best possible way so that you don't have to sit in traffic, so that you're not dealing with crowds, so that you're able to see all of the best stuff at the best times. Okay, so let's jump to what I would do if you have 2 days in the park, which is the most ideal. This really just gives you the chance to see Bryce Canyon to the fullest, and I highly suggest giving yourself at least 1.5 to 2 days if you want to see all the best stuff. So you'll still be able to do all of those popular viewpoints along the amphitheater that I mentioned during the 1 day. You'll also be able to drive the whole scenic drive instead of just a portion of it, or at least make more stops and get out, stretch your legs, do some of the shorter hiking trails along the scenic drive. So you'll have time to do both of those things. But where I think it really is so advantageous to have a little more time in Bryce Canyon is that you will have time to hike my favorite trail in the park, which is the Peekaboo Loop. So I love the Peekaboo Loop. It's usually quieter. You pass by some really cool hoodoos, and you can connect the Peekaboo Loop to some of the more popular trails in the park, like the Navajo Loop and through Wall Street. Then you go through the Peekaboo Loop, and then you come out and you go up the Queen's Garden Trail. So it really is just a very immersive experience in these hoodoos of Bryce Canyon. I love this trail. I've done this trail so many times, and it's still just my favorite in the park. Something else that's cool about giving yourself more time at Bryce Canyon is it gives you more sunrise and sunset options. Bryce Canyon is also known for its night sky. It's very clear. You're at a really high elevation, and so the stars are just incredible from here. And they do a lot of night sky programs in the evenings with the rangers and stuff like that. And so I just like having a little bit more time so that I can join some of those programs, or so that I can get up early and go see the hoodoos at sunrise, which are gorgeous. And it's just really nice to have a little bit more breathing room. It's easier to stay away from the crowds. It's easier to time things so that you just have a quieter and more peaceful experience in the park. There are also some really cool things in this area. And so after your 1.5-ish days in Bryce Canyon, you could also hike to Calf Creek Falls, or go to Kodachrome Basin State Park, or head down to Zion. But there's just a lot to do in this area as well. And so any time you give it will be well spent. Hopefully that helps you make your decision on how much time to spend in Bryce Canyon. I have one more treat for you, which are some itinerary options if you're hoping to not only to go to Bryce Canyon, but also some of the other national parks and cool things in the area. Okay, so in the Dirt in My Shoes article that is linked in this video description, at the bottom I have itinerary options. And so if you want to spend 1 week in all of 5 of Utah's national parks, there's a schedule for that. If you want to spend a little more time at each park and just do a few, we can add on the Grand Canyon there. I have 10-day sample scheduled and 2-week sample schedules for those areas. And so you can look through that, and that will really help you decide how to plan your time, how much time to spend in each place, and really make your dream trip a reality. I am so excited for you to visit Bryce Canyon. I have other Bryce Canyon videos here on the Dirt in My Shoes channel. You can look through all the things to do, all the things that I've mentioned. I have tips videos, I have trip planning videos. So definitely subscribe and go check out my other Bryce Canyon content. There's a lot of it. And I hope that you just have a great time in this park, make memories with those you love, and get some dirt in your shoes.